4 o'clock. All right, why don't we get started? It is 4 o'clock. Welcome to IETF 124 TVR Working Group. And this works now. All right, a couple of things. I know this is the middle of the week, but for those of you who may be attending who are new, a note well and a reminder of our IETF policies. I will simply leave this up for just a second, calling particular attention to codes of conduct and anti-harassment policy. And again, a second focus on conduct. As we continue to have technical discussions, we are hard on ideas, but easy on people. Okay, a couple other things. If you are here in the room, please make sure that you are joining the session via data tracker and using the on-site tool. There's also a mobile version. And if you are looking for where the agenda is or other information specific, the links are here, but you probably already know that because you are here. All right, continuing on, we do need to have minute takers. I know that in the past we've had, Adam has volunteered for that, and the more minute takers we have, the better. So please make sure to get into the shared notepad and help us out. All right. For this particular working group, I know that we have a light agenda. We have made very good progress on our initial chartered items. We do have several chartered items that are wrapping up and waiting for reviews and write-ups. Right now, if we look at our milestones, we had the initial use cases document, which was done and published as RFC 9657. Our requirements document is ready for IESG review pending a Shepherd's write-up, which is on me. We do have a data model, which is we'll be talking about today, and an applicability statement. Additionally, in the original charter, we had some work related to implementation and operational considerations. We have not begun work on that particular charter item yet, waiting to finish requirements and data model and applicability. As requirements and data model are finishing up, as applicability is well underway, a question here, either to those online or those in the room, do we still believe as a working group that there is utility in documenting implementation and operational considerations for those attempting to use the data model or use the applicability statement? Now, I will, before going forward, let me pause there. If you have an opinion on that, please take a moment and join the queue. Rick?
Rick Taylor, what do you mean by use? Because I think there's two different meanings. If I could propose what I think you mean by use is either do I understand how to integrate these Yang extensions into existing Yang models to carry some of the timing information, scheduling information, or do you mean what I should do as a routing protocol if this information is provided to me? One is a much bigger problem than the other.
Did you?
So the stuff that is what the routing protocol should do is supposed to go into the applicability statement. And so the implementation and operational considerations really should be about, I've implemented the code and here are the potholes I found.
Yingzhen?
Yingzhen from FutureWay. I think one thing for operation we need to consider is time synchronization. We have time synchronization. What kind of clock we need to use in the network? Yeah.
Okay, fair. I agree that that's important. A question, I know that this came up at the last meeting as well. Do we have, or have we added into the requirements document any requirements or presumptions associated with time synchronization?
Yeah, I think that will be a good place to mention that, because we in the model we have, for example, a scheduled start time, right? But that's based on which clock. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you volunteering to write this document? Are you volunteering to write this document?
Well, he just mentioned in the requirement document, put it.
No. I'm talking the implementation and operational considerations document.
That I will think about it.
Okay.
And I think that that's sort of a good second point to this, which is implementation and operational considerations presumes implementation and operations to therefore yield operational considerations. So I think something that as we look through the existing set of milestones, something we're going to ask, and of course we will take this to the list, is should we think about removing this last milestone as a milestone for the working group and not producing an implementation and operational considerations document?
So I know people who have implemented or at least part of the data model. So
Okay.
we'll do some talk and come back. Yeah.
Excellent. So then my follow-up ask to the working group is if you have knowledge of people who have that implementation experience and interest in writing such a document down, please participate in the mailing list when we have that part of the discussion. Okay. Otherwise, if we just look at where we are right now, we had adopted a good set of work, and we do have one personal draft related to applicability. The schedule document is going well right now. We have asked for a variety of reviews. Those reviews are pending. I don't think any of those reviews have completed. Is that right, Tony? The requirements document is waiting for the shepherd's write-up. I will speak sternly to the shepherd momentarily because that is me. And then we do have the personal draft, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more today, and also the ALSO exposure, which I believe is also close to finishing, although I will say that we did rename it to TVR off-path exposure to make it not specific to ALTO. So with that, with what is a relatively short agenda for the day, we wanted to talk about and give an update on the off-path mechanisms, and then some discussion around applicability and any remaining discussion around requirements to make sure that there is no additional work left. And then we would have an open mic for anyone that wants to talk about future work in TVR that we think would be important or interesting to consider in light of an adapted charter, or opinions that we feel that the working group has done the work that it should be doing and we have not been able to identify additional milestones. All right, but with that, please, let's have our first presentation using off-path mechanisms for exposing time-variant routing information. Please. Here you go. And time is okay.
Okay. Okay. So I will be very brief. So this is just an update of the document. So, okay. Basically, according to what was agreed in IETF 103 in Madrid, we renamed the draft. So now it's off-path exposure. We have generated a maintenance version, basically updating Appendix A that was about the assessment of ALTO as a particular solution of a particular off-path solution against the TVR requirements. So basically, it's a table with the requirements. So we updated essentially the number of the requirements and added some additional requirement that was not covered before. And we asked about new comments reviews in the mailing list, but no feedback so far. So probably this means that the document is sufficiently stable to be progressed. Regarding the next steps, so basically, I would like here to bring some point. By now, we are referring to 3 different alternatives for off-path solution. They are using the ALTO protocol would be one. Also considering network controllers that could expose or could offer an API or an interface for retrieving the TVR information, or thinking on what is being stated in the applicability draft, either the managing device component or the scheduled database being those components that could basically be used for off-path retrieval of the information. So the point here is that, well, just to check if there is any other option, if the working group thinks that there could be any other option for playing that role of component offering the off-path solution. And also for the cases of the network controller or the managing device, to understand it would be just directly the YAM data model, what could be the interface or the API would be based on this TVR jam model for retrieving the information. I guess that in the case of the database would not be like that, maybe yes. So basically to understand what could be the mechanism, because in the Alto case, it's clear that would be the Alto protocol with the cost calendar functionality, but maybe for the other components, maybe we need to include some hints of what could be the way of retrieving the information. The immediate thing is the MBA jam model, the TVR jam model, but just to clarify that point. The second point is that if we should clean up the draft by removing annexes. By now, there are 4 annexes. My suggestion as author would be basically removing Appendix B, which is about the assessment of the architecture proposal in the previous version of the applicability draft. So that draft has been expired, being substituted by the existing one. So probably we can simply remove that. Also, Appendix D, that was about identifying gaps on TVR specifications. This could be removed. I think it's useful for basically triggering further work on Alto, but probably makes no sense to keep it here in the document. And there are 2 other appendices where I don't have a clear position. Let's say one would be this of the assessment of Alto against the TVR requirements. Maybe could be basically useful for getting further work on Alto. Maybe we can remove. No, I don't know. And then the Appendix C is about the implementation status, that basically we provide some links to an open source implementation, so maybe it could be worth it to keep it just as a reference. And then the point is to decide how to clean up, and after that, basically create a new version, and if there are no further comments, move the draft forward. And that's all from my side. Thank you.
So just in light of the previous comments, if we look at Appendix D, identified gaps on TVR specifications, and remove but useful for further work in TVR, can you help me understand what is in that appendix currently? What are the identified gaps on TVR specifications?
Well, I will do some archaeology in my memories. For instance, something that I was identifying there, because in the use cases that I was thinking on was basically actions in the network. For instance, if we need to swap a card or whatever, if we need to identify a huge number of links that will be removed from the topology temporarily, we have by now as artifacts the identification of the node and the link, but not the groupings of links. I mean, what I was stating there is that maybe we can signal that we will remove a card, an entire card. So basically referring to more than one link, or maybe this more than one could be even 72, or depending on the kind of router. Okay. That is an example. And there will be others I cannot remember right now, but I can put in the chat now or send it into a mailing list. So basically, things that could be maybe interesting to work on.
Follow-up question: for the things that are identified, would you characterize those gaps as things that are missing in existing documents, such as missing requirements or elements that would be missing in a data model? Or would they be things that are missing in terms of considerations, implementation considerations, usage considerations?
Yes, I think so. In fact, I think that is already done in the appendix, but if not, I think I can provide my view.
Okay. Point being is that if we, upon reflection, have found additional technical materials associated to our existing documents, which are coming through last calls, then identifying those sooner rather than later on the mailing list would be sure. A priority.
Okay, I'll do.
All right. Anything else? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And next up, we're going to talk about TVR applicability. And is that?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is Li Zhao from Huawei. I will present the TVR applicability on behalf of my colleagues, and I think it's very brief. Okay, so in this new version, we updated the operational considerations part based on the comments collected in the last IETF 1 and 23 meeting, and also did some editorial updates. So in detail, the first comment is it is unnecessary to require synchronization with the source of the schedule information. I think we accept this comment and updated the draft. The first change is in section 6.1. We remove the time synchronization requirements. And the second update is in section 6. We added a general discussion on that the managing devices and the managed devices within a schedule domain should be synchronized with the same time source. I think this is very reasonable. Okay, and the second comment is in a centralized distribution of schedule information. If a node gets a schedule that conflicts with the previous one, it may be a update of the previous mistake and should not be discarded. And I think this comment is also reasonable. So we updated the section 6.4.1. We added a sentence to illustrate that if two schedules conflict with each other, but if they have the same schedule ID, then it should be considered as an update, and the latest one should be used. I think that's all about the updates of the new version, and we welcome for contributions and comments. And is this draft ready for working group adoption? And I think that's all. Thank you.
So I just a few quick things before we address the working group adoption call. The first is understand and recall the discussion from 123 that we want the ability to update schedules. And I just wanted to ask if there are any assumptions associated with this so that out of order delivery or other issues don't cause misinterpreting updates if we're overwriting schedules based on the same schedule ID. I just wanted to ask if there was any language in the document that related to the assumptions made that receiving something with the same ID would indicate update.
Yes.
And then the last is at 123 there was some discussion around whether we would add any information related to decentralized schedule generation as an additional option, or whether we would explicitly say that was out of scope for this document. Did we come to a conclusion on whether decentralized schedule generation would be a additionally supported option?
I think decentralized generation will be out of scope because I didn't see the use case where the decentralized generation for a schedule.
Okay. All right. Then the next part with chair hat on, there's a question for working group adoption. We will take that, of course, to the mailing list, but I wanted to pause for a moment and ask if anyone has read this document and has any comments on it that we should hear prior to considering working group adoption. If anyone would like to come to the mic, please do. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you.
And then our last presentation is going to be an update on our requirements document. And this is going to be presented by, I believe, Brian Sipos. Is Brian online? Ah, there we go.
I am, yes. So at the the earlier working group last call, there were a couple of comments, and this is going to be discussing those and explaining what was done based on those comments. So if we flip to the next slide, if I can do that. So these are relatively minor changes, and that's why this is still going to be considered to be conclusions from the last call, and hopefully not needing an additional last call. But the first comment was about the concept of multiple time variant domains in a bigger picture than just a single scheduled orchestrator. And this is now explicitly called out and explained that it's possible to consider TVR in the sense of one universal domain in which everything is covered and every schedule relates to every other one logically, versus individual device domains that is more related to subdividing a large network or subdividing even pieces of a network into separate domains. And just the idea that the point of calling these out is that by dividing things into domains, that means that schedules between different domains by definition don't relate to each other. And so this is affecting a couple different pieces of the document, but that is the one change. And then the next change is about similar to the earlier question that was raised about time synchronization. There are two aspects, and the one aspect is the notion that you have to be able to characterize your devices and the clocks on those devices to be able to know what the performance of those clocks is, as far as guarantees on precision, accuracy, and those sort of metrics. And the second aspect is a notion that once you do have a characterization for those, the thing that generates the schedules has to be able to accommodate those using what's called in this document margins. And there's also a discussion that margin is a useful operational concept to cover both the fact that you know that that every single clock that executes a schedule is going to have some limited precision and some limited accuracy, and also that you know that real world effects of affecting a scheduled administrative change take some time to propagate into actual operational state. And so what's discussed in these updates is this combined notion of almost an operational consideration that whoever's devising these schedules has to allow for margin for the clocks themselves and margin for execution of the schedules. And beyond this, the authors feel that these changes address all of the comments received so far, and we think that the document is ready for IESG review.
All right, thank you, Brian. Rick in the queue.
Hey, Brian, first an apology. I have not read your latest updates, but I have a very quick question on this margin concept, which I think is very strong. Are you using the same value for margin to cover the drift in local clocks and the amount of time it may take to actually react to a new schedule being published? Are you considering it to be the same value with round about the same bounds? Or because my gut tells me they could be very different.
Sure. So because this is about sort of considerations and requirements on system design and not a specific data model, we don't enforce either way whether or not a system can or must aggregate margin in the ways that you're talking about. So it's left open to the system design and implementation.
Okay, thank you.
It's called out as a necessary consideration, really.
Greg?
Okay, Greg Mirsky, Erickson. So I would wanted to continue this about the timers. So is there any feeling or recommendation of what is their resolution in the clock accuracy that will be required? Because that definitely will help to understand what mechanisms will be sufficient to guarantee such accuracy. And again, this is something that probably might be helpful to identify in a document, because that will be a guidance to their choosing a solution.
And just to jump in for a moment, I think Brian disconnected and reconnected briefly during that. So if you could re-summarize the question for him, please.
Okay, it will be, yeah. So the question is, there any expectation of what the resolution of the accuracy in terms of what will be the units of clock accuracy?
So similar to the earlier, my earlier response is, because this document isn't dealing with a specific system, it's called out that a design has to take into consideration precision and accuracy, but it's not imposing specifics at that level of detail that you're talking about, which is what are necessary units or necessary relationships for a specific system.
Yeah, well, I think I understand that this is requirements, identifying their areas of attention, but giving the guidance will help to narrow or choose the reasonably sufficient solution. Because again, one can say, oh, we need to synchronize it to millisecond, and the resolution of 100 microseconds will be sufficient. Or somebody will say, oh, we need to synchronize on a microsecond, and then the resolution of 100 nanoseconds, and so on, right?
Sure.
So basically, is that what is good enough? Because
so this document, the good thing is that in this document, it doesn't impose that a design operates in either direction, in the sense that one completely valid system can start with a clock characterization and make sure that schedules agree with that. Another completely valid system design can start with requirements on execution accuracy, and from that derive needed clock characterizations to achieve that accuracy. So this specification calls out the relationship between them, but doesn't mandate that you have to go in one direction or the other direction in an actual system design.
Okay.
But just to jump in on that, what we heard, what I heard was that it's not a requirement, but where would you put and document considerations related to this and the impact of getting that wrong? And I guess my follow-up question is whether or not that kind of discussion is part of a requirements document, or whether it's part of the applicability document, or whether it would be part of some other sort of considerations document. I don't have an answer to that, by the way. Open question.
I don't either, but if there, my only response to that is, if there are some specific recommendations for clarifying the document as is, that would be valuable to have as we are still going through even IESG review.
Well, so just to jump in on that real quick momentarily, Greg, if you were able to post that to the mailing list as a question so that it is not lost, and then that would perhaps also help us understand where best to represent the information, because I think you're right, a consideration, there needs to be a few paragraphs somewhere related to considerations like that.
Just to comment on top of this, I think that the accuracy will depend probably on the particular use case. I'm trying to remind what were the use cases. For instance, there was the use case for saving energy. Probably the accuracy there should be the granularity should be, let's say, coarse compared maybe to others that imply changes in the topology of the satellites and the connection with the network. So basically, probably could be use case driven. What could be the accuracy? As Brian was commenting, is a system consideration, but maybe we need to land to the specific use case for understanding what will be the accuracy limits that we have.
Agreed, and good point. Lee?
Yes, I agree with Louis. So the accuracy of time synchronization is case by case. I think different cases have different accuracy requirements. And in the applicability draft, we have provided several time synchronization mechanisms with different accuracy. And I think the operators or who implement the TVR could select one of them based on their practical requirements.
Agreed. It does seem like the applicability document would be a place to mention this. Brian, with chair hat on, what I saw here is we have taken this document through working group last call, and then we did make additional changes to the document and adding subsections. My sense is that may cause us to want to do one more working group last call because of the change. Do you agree with that, or does anyone have a concern with doing that?
I believe IETF has seen enough appeals already this year, so I would prefer to see, let's go through the process and spend 2 weeks and do another last call.
So with that, if you did not have a chance to read through this document during the first working group last call, please do take a read through, and we will get that last call started on the mailing list.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that wraps up the discussion and the status of the work that we currently have ahead of us. What I wanted to do now was open up for open mic and simply ask, do we have additional content or thoughts on additional work that should be done in this working group, either because we want to see additional items added to existing work like applicability, or thoughts on whether there is value in an additional document for implementation and operational considerations, or if there are other elements related to time variant routing that we think are of interest and for which there is energy to do work in this working group. So we'll take a few minutes now and open up the mic. And I will also say we are all aware in time variant routing that sometimes a link leaves early, and we can also wrap up a few minutes early as well. But let's give it a minute now to see if anyone would like to join the queue. All right. So what I will say is we will yield back 27 minutes of time. I'd like to say thank you everyone who has participated, particularly on the mailing list and in the discussions and in the document reviews. We will likely then put a call together for the requirements document. We will see if there's any action needed on the data models as they come through the various reviews. And then we will put out the working group adoption call for the applicability document. And please do chime in on the mailing list to see whether there is additional need and energy for an implementation and operational considerations document separate from the applicability document. But otherwise, we will look forward to seeing everyone here at 1:25. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can clap. It's okay. We can clap. Very good. Right. And thank you all who were online. You get one clap online. Oh, sorry, I think I unplugged you on. Now it definitely unplugged you. No more energy for you. That's fine. That's good.
It was so short-lived.
It was.
The glorious. The glorious.
It was time variant.